Hello, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the prep. We are still fighting this block of Claviceros. I spent a few minutes just before the stream just checking if this is doable, because it is sweltering. I appreciate not sweltering for some people across the US and in much warmer climes, but for England we are very toasty, like 28°C, so what's that, 85 Fahrenheit, which I appreciate, not super hot for parts of the States, but for England, where we are not equipped for it and not living in air condition, it is warm. And the shed has lovely glass doors which trap extra sunlight through them, so they get very toasty. So we'll see how much we can get on with whilst I am still fully functional. The hope is that there's some tidying up we can get done. I was having a look at this ammonite here. I mean, it's so toasty. I've got duct tape holding my light in place back here, and you might hear it pop and crack every once in a while as it all basically peels off. In the heat, all of the adhesive glue that holds duct tape together is slowly melting as well. It's that sort of warm. But yeah, as I was saying, this little ammonite here, I'm not convinced is a Claviceros either. It might be another little Lito, which mid them would be fun to have two of them next to each other. And I say that just because the shape of the keel. So this end piece here, you might see that the Claviceros, they all have sort of a ridge running around them. This one's a really good example. They have a little ridge, whereas this one is slightly different shape and doesn't have that ridge. So it also has, this one might be really pushing the limit of the camera, but it's got little teeny tiny ridges that basically run all the way across. Whether or not that is me just imagining things and hoping, we'll see. But that's where we're at. But yeah, I had a quick tidy up just to try and clear up some of this mess in the middle here. But today is just tidying, and yeah, it's going to be working from this side probably and back across, and just trying to see if we can clear up all of the gaps between all of the ammonites, and just start making this thing look finished, because I am ready for it to be finished, and I'm sure all of you are as well. So that is the goal. Obviously, chuck questions, comments, anything you would like into chat. We can have a discussion. As I said, it's roasting hot here, and I will see how long I can last. I'm hopeful that we can get a couple hours out of it, but it may not be that long. But tomorrow will be cooler, so we'll be back again tomorrow and hopefully enjoying that more. And I have no idea how loud that is for you, but for me, that is incredibly loud on the music. Yeah, Mr. Landfill, that's actually not dissimilar to what we're in today. Just I feel like everywhere in the States is a little bit more equipped to deal with the higher temperatures with your aircon and actual fans built into room ceilings and stuff like that. We've got a bunch of portable fans around, but yeah, it's, here we don't seem to be built for it. We're very much a temperate climb that doesn't do the extremes very well, and for us, 28°C is one of the extremes. So yeah, but yeah, we'll see how we get on. And I'm glad the music wasn't too loud, just for me, because cool, that was quite loud in my ear. But yeah, we'll crack on with it, and yeah, as you said, give us a shout if anyone's got any questions. Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Landfill, you are correct with that. I'm pulling a lot of stuff up towards me and out of shot today. Nearly all of it's going to be under heavy magnification. And so, unfortunately, an awful lot of footage is going to be with me pulling things up this way. And I tend to show this off. Let me get my second camera and I can show you why. There we go. So yeah, at the minute, this is what the standard setup looks like. I'm here, but I've got magnifying light here, fossil underneath, and so what you're seeing is when the fossil is disappearing out of shot, it's me pulling it up towards the light, and because of where the other camera is, it doesn't always work well, and sometimes when I'm doing the detailed work, I do it off stream just because it's not always the best for streaming because of that. But we are so close to being done with this, I thought we'd try and do this on stream. If it is not worthwhile, or I keep pulling it too far out, we will we'll just go back and I'll do the fine detail off camera and try and then show you what I've got up to on the next stream. So tomorrow I'd show you what I got up to. But it's nice to have you here when you've all been here for the last, what, three weeks now. Trying to remember how long it's been with this one specimen. 2 weeks? 6 streams, something like that. We've been going at it for quite a while, and yeah, I mean, when you see how many ammonites there are in it, it kind of explains why we've been at it for so long. But yeah, it's why I'd like to bring you along for the final bit. But the final bit is the most fiddly and most detailed, so unfortunately it's the one that I need to be under the highest magnification for. But yeah, as Mr. Landfill says, if I'm doing something that's really detailed, it'll probably disappear under here whilst I look at it under magnification, and then I'll show you what I'm up to when I'm finished with it. But do bear with. But that is a good time for you to be thinking up questions for me, or having a chat about recent finds or things you've seen in the news, and yeah, we can chat about those in between. And it's also a good chance for me to have a break and have a drink as that's going on, so would strongly encourage it. So just having a bit of a challenge trying to figure out what best to do with this end over here, and the reason for that is if I bring you up, there's a little tiny shell or possibly ammonite here, but there's a line of calcite that runs pretty much straight through it, and then we've got an ammonite or part of an ammonite here and a piece of shell up here, but I am not 100% sure if any of this is complete, but what I'm planning to do is just slowly lower this whole lot with a chisel tip. So I've changed from a little tiny point to a 2mm chisel, and just to lower this and smooth some of this off, just because I think that will be better. We'll go back to the 1.5mm point in a second to do some more fine detail work, but I think this is just big smoothing times. Sorry, as my light keeps fiddling and moving around, so as the adhesive continues to melt off of our duct tape. So So annoyingly, I'm not sure that it makes it better. It makes it different, the smoothing, or at least the smoothing with the chisel tip. So you end up with a much lighter, whiter sort of patination, although some of it's very shiny because of where the pyrite is. And I don't know if that's better. I don't know if I like it. This is now where the prep becomes an art thing. And everyone's going to have slightly different preferences for what they think looks best. It does look better than just scrappy prep marks, I believe, but I don't know if that is the best. If better than raw is always the best it could be, and it's where probably having a good rotary tip would work. And as you can hear, my little pup having a little woof in the background as someone's moving around nearby. But yeah, it is quicker to remove a matrix though with the chisel tip than with the point, which is why, if nothing else, it's a good way to just get down some stuff. That being said, still not sure what I'm going to do with this, because we've got broken shell right there, got a bit of whirl there. It probably needs all prepping down properly on this corner. Just a bit of a faff. All of it is a bit of a faff at this point, if I'm honest, but yeah, some are faffier than others. Pup, you'll be pleased to hear Mr. Landfill says, "You're a good dog." And I agree, you are a good dog. Excuse the squeaky chairs, I just move around trying to adjust the tip, so I'm going to go back to the point so I can keep doing some fine work. So we're back on the 1.5mm point. So we'll keep poking around the ammonites and see if we can keep improving things. We might be getting, well, I've said a lot of things, but I think we are getting close to the point of I am done. It's just whether or not it needs to go to someone to do a better finishing job, because there are plenty of things that could and should be probably done with this, and it's just I don't know if I have the tools. And so that I think is ultimately the biggest skill in prep, is not necessarily being able to do it all yourself, but knowing when your limit is. And I don't know, and unfortunately often don't find out where your limit is until you've gone too far and you can't undo that. So I was trying to find that point before I mess something up. Yeah, you do a little bit more, because I can definitely do some more in around this bit here, tidy underneath these ammonites, and these ones here. I can definitely tidy up a lot of this mess in here into the groove that has become this side, and definitely can tidy up a lot of this edge here. So we can definitely do that, and then there's some questions about what's the best thing to do with this little ammonite and this bigger one here, which I think might both be little lighters. That one is definitely unusual, whether it's lighter or otherwise I don't know, but it's super tiny, as you can just about see. Like my point on here, the bit under my finger, not the actual point, is 1.5mm. So you can see from that roughly how big it is. We're playing with like 0.5mm total size of the ammonite, whereas this one is a bit bigger, but is missing that section there. Yeah, that's what still needs to be done, or definitely needs to be thought about, but I can still tidy up other bits for sure. Hey everyone, Cheryl, sorry that YouTube's not giving you the notifications, but yeah, all of the important things in life take some time to do properly, and prep is, I wouldn't say the important thing in life, but it is something that I think is important, so it's taking time. Where are we up to with this? This big one's quite interestingly cleaned pretty well, although on this side you might just see there's quite a step from this section here down into this bit, and it's basically the outer shell is all right in some sections, and then here for some reason it went to absolute heck, as a better term I would have used normally, but trying to be PG. And then this under bit is sort of the calcite infill. It's in quite good shape, but yeah, you can maybe see the step difference between the outer shell and the infill there. There is not a lot of matrix that is accessible. I've spent a little bit of time, you might have just seen me spinning this around, just trying to figure out how best to attack this, and the answer might just be I cannot, and that I think may be the answer for it. So there's a middle here to have a look at, and other than that, this might be as good as I can get this side, and then yeah, we're just going to keep slowly working back through. I will leave this little one alone just in case it is a little lighter. This block will go to someone just to have a look at, just to see if there's anything that they reckon can and should be done with this one, and possibly this little one if it is more interesting. But it's, as I said earlier, just so tiny, it's beyond my skills for sure. And then yeah, we'll just keep tidying back through this. It's very difficult sometimes to see what's what, because the original shell is a nice sort of grey colour, which then matches the matrix, so it's a bit tricky. But yeah, then we've got all of this mess in here to deal with, but we can definitely just do this side if nothing else, and then have a look, see what we can do in between. But I'd rather avoid putting too many more fresh little white pock marks and everything if it can be helped. But we'll give it a good rinse. Whatever state we get to today, this will be the last day I stream it, just for everyone's sanity. Mine probably first and foremost. And then we'll go play with something hopefully a little easier tomorrow. Yeah. I'm glad you're enjoying the music, Katie. I thought it might be a little too classical for your tastes, which are, I mean, decidedly more heavy, I am aware. Um, Unusually high temp does this more promote more drying and cracking of the cliffs and collapses. Yeah, so basically we get 2 times of year in the UK where the cliffs are particularly active. Winter, after, as you said, the rains and the cold and the storms, and summer. They produce, I believe, quite different falls in general, but you do get lots of material falling both times. Let me just have a quick drink. So most of our cliffs are made up of shales, basically mudstones that are all really finely laminated. So lots and lots of little layers. Think of like a stack of paper that you'd stick in your printer. It's all kind of like that, and then interspersed you then get a big chunk of like your stack of paper still inside of its original wrapping. So you've got like a big thick chunk, then lots of thin layers, individual sheets of paper, then a big thick chunk. And what's happening constantly is water and ice, whatever combinations are getting in. They make little gaps in those layers open and close, and so the big temperature changes, particularly with summer when you've got really high temperatures like this, cause an awful lot of expansion of cracks, and then if you get a big cold or cool evening, they then shrink again, and you get this expansion contraction similar to what you see in winter with in the case there of ice forming, which then does an awful lot more expanding, particularly when it's super cold. And so what you're getting are little falls pretty much constantly through summer with the expansion and contraction of those shale layers, and when the wind helps as well. So you get lots and lots of little falls, in particular in Yorkshire through summer. That's not to say you can't get big ones. You definitely can get big falls through summer, but in general they tend to be smaller in Yorkshire. And some places on the south coast, summer seems to produce some pretty big falls. Down Burton Bragstock Way, for example, summer is just as dangerous as winter. It should not be taken for granted. A small rock falling out of the cliff could still kill you. It doesn't have to be a big fall to be dangerous. But winter seems to be the time of year, at least in Yorkshire, where we get a much bigger falls. But both of them are very useful times of year. I particularly like hunting at Horsker when it's hot and sunny, because there's some really, really big cliffs there. And so you do tend to get a turning out of fresh material on a regular basis. The downside of that is everyone now knows that's the case and is also trying to get there. So it then becomes a weird game of trying to figure out where is most likely to have had a fresh fall that no one has been to before you. And sometimes it means that places like Saltwick Bay, which are incredibly busy, end up getting the best hunting, because a lot of people go, oh, it's very busy, let's not go there, and they go somewhere else. And so oddly, the busy places then become the less busy places, and then the best to hunt. So it kind of goes in little pulses as everyone moves around trying to adjust to what's being found. But the big one is usually, in terms of increasing find rates, it's the seas that then are doing more work. And so summer is pretty flat calm for the most part in Yorkshire, whereas winter, we do get the high seas that are moving the material away from the cliffs and spreading out those falls, and that does make a big difference. So it's not necessarily the falls that's doing the work for bringing material, it's the waves spreading it around. And so winter again is better for that. Winter also has fewer visitors. It also has fewer hunting days. So when there are falls, there are fewer days where there's sunlight for people to get out onto those falls, and so you have higher odds of finding a fresh fall that no one has been to, because there are fewer hours for people to be out on the coast. Yeah. But yeah, we're getting there. Slowly but surely we're getting there with this piece. Slowly but surely. I'm glad you found some good stuff, Devort. It was a cracking weekend here as well. It's still roasting, as everyone. Let me rephrase. For England, it is roasting. I appreciate for a lot of people, and I'll keep saying this. I caveat that because everyone laughs when I say 30 degrees Celsius, so like high 80s Fahrenheit is hot for us. But we are a country of temperate climes, and most people are used to like the 60 Fahrenheit, 15 to 20 degrees, and so we are not equipped for higher temperatures. So yeah, it's been roasting for our standard here, and it means a lot of people are out on the beaches. And I had a couple of tours, and so yeah, I've been out hunting this weekend as well, and yeah, pretty good. We did Horsker. Horsker has been heavily picked actually. Having just said that, I like it. It's been heavily picked, but we still got some stuff. And then yesterday I was at Brunswick Bay, which is one of the very popular beaches. And I found a little nautilus, which are incredibly rare. I've only found 3 ever, and so I was very lucky with that. But that was weirdly just in one of those places that people tend to hunt, and it's where most of the tourists go to. And it was just sat there looking at me, so I was very happy with that. But kind of again, proof you don't necessarily need a big fall. Sometimes you just need to spend a bit of time slowing things down and having a look with your eyes. So Cretaceous marine fossils in New Jersey. I'm assuming you're going to be lots of ammonites, belemnites sort of stuff, but I actually honestly don't know what your marine material is stateside. So you'll have to let us know what you found, because I'm intrigued. Yeah, so surely you've seen the thing that Liam posted, which was asking everyone's opinion on what the most important thing is for fossil hunting. And the answer is it's not one thing, it's many of those things. You basically can't be good without having a combination of luck and skill, at least over a long period of time. Anyone can get lucky once. The best hunters are not getting lucky over and over and over again. They're putting in the hours, they're using their experience to find things. So yeah, it's a bit like saying anyone could kick a penalty at a football game and you might score against a world-class keeper. But you couldn't do that in a professional game for the entire time over and over and over again unless you're incredibly lucky. Take your pick of sports for the equivalent version of it. But yeah, the biggest one for most people is collector effort, and that's a term that actually comes from the literature for the amount of time people spend on a site, on a location, looking for things. And in Yorkshire, the equivalent is if you go down to a beach, in general, you'll pick up dacks without trying too hard. That's just your default. You pick up dacks. If you spend a bit longer, you're likely to pick up Perrinoceros and Hildoceros, so things that are still fairly common, but you may not see them every hunt, or at least not multiple of them every hunt. But then if you go many, many times, you might start to find some of the other rarer things. You'll start to find your Claviceros, your Harpoceros, if you know the right places. Again, knowledge being important here. Or you might start finding the really rare things, your Lithoceros, your Biloceros, that sort of thing. The longer you spend, the higher your odds are of finding things. But equally, you won't find things if you're in the wrong place. You won't find things if you don't know what you're looking for. So it's a bit of everything involved. And so yeah, Debbie Vorp saying, seeing lots of potential material, that is the collector effort, the time on the beach. And so from Liam's point of view, it's one of the things that why I think he finds so much bone. Obviously he's very good at finding bone, but he's also on the beach, say 3 to 5 days a week through summer, and he's out all the time, getting 4 or 5 hours on a beach each day that he's out, and it does make a huge difference. Because he knows what he's looking for, but at the same time, if he lived, I don't know, let's say where I live or even further away, when you might only get out a couple of times a week or even a couple of times a month, you're going to find a lot less, no matter how much you know what you're looking for, just because you're not spending the hours on the beach. You probably don't also spot the falls, you probably don't also find the areas where you've seen, oh, that sand wasn't there yesterday, and so there's a level of also just knowledge because you're spending time on the beach. So it all adds up, it's all important together, it's not one single thing. But that ruins the good time if we just can say one. That's a lot more fun to just say skill. But sadly, no, it's a lot of things all together. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to go check the dog has put herself back inside now that the sun is back out, and she's going to be getting very toasty if she's outside. So I'm just going to go make sure that she is comfortable and has a drink as well. Be right back. Yeah, she's arguably the most sensible of the two of us because she's in the cool house in the fans and on the tile floor keeping nice and cool. Whereas I am quite toasty in the shed. But, yeah, let's keep cracking on. Yeah, right. So a few things got said there. Yeah, using time and energy more wisely, I think, due to experience, is definitely really useful for collecting things. I was trying to think of a good comparator in general life for anyone watching this who's not collector or not a collector. But it's a bit like if you say you want, I don't know, a specialty meat. Say you wanted to go find venison or rabbit or something. Where would you go for it? And it's one of those things you might get lucky, walk into your local supermarket and you might just have it. But with a bit of experience, you might know there's a specialty butcher just down the road, and you might still not find them there that first time, but you'd know that's the place to go look for them. So I think that's kind of the same for fossils. It's using that knowledge and experience. So David Vort's had a heck of a good time by the sounds of it. Lots and lots of moved around material from his site in New Jersey with shark teeth, bell knights, few shells. Nice claw, shrimp claw, shark tooth and matrix, nice gas charge. Yeah, that's always nice to get a good diversity of finds. And I always like to look at it as if I got anything that I come home with at the end of the day, it's been a good trip out. It's a good trip out anyway, even if you don't collect anything. But if there's something that you're putting into your collection when you have finished hunting, then it's been a very good day out. And nice that you've got a bunch of shark teeth as well. Yeah, it's great that you've enjoyed yourself and thought it was very successful, so good. And right, we have Farkon. Hey, good to see you. How's prep going today? Today is going to be the last day on this block, whatever happens, because I'm getting fed up of it. But we've basically got all the ammonites here mostly tidied away. There's a little section, this little one here, and this probable litho, this might also be a little litho. So these two are just kind of being left alone. I've tidied around them, tidied up a lot of this. I am now tidying down through some of this, but in typical fashion, the more I tidy this, the more ammonites I run into. So was tidying down here, trying to reduce the size of this wall, ran into an ammonite there, and an ammonite in there. So there's 3 new ammonites that I hadn't found. So this is why this block has been taking so long, is everywhere I go I find more, and every time I find more it takes a bit longer to prep that little bit. But that's part of the joy of this sort of block, is that there is stuff everywhere. And I mean, this area in particular, that I'm actually quite happy with how it's come out. There's bits that still need finishing fully, but you can see that there's like an ammonite, a bivalve, an ammonite, 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 and a really big ammonite, and they've all basically just stacked on top of each other. And I appreciate that I'm pointing at a lot of things as you may not see it, so it goes off the top of the screen. But yeah, so everywhere you go in some of these places, it's just that they are stacked on each other rather than on top of matrix with ammonites in between. Everything is stacked on itself with matrix in between. So it's both good and a pain in the backside, because there's material and fossils everywhere, and tidying it takes a long time, because everywhere you go you run into another fossil. But as I said, today will be the last day one way or other on this, just because I think you might all be getting fed up of me doing the same thing, and it's getting very slow for what you're seeing happen. I remember one of the early days, if we have a look at the box, you might see that there's very little material here. The rest of the box has got a little bit more, but it's not a lot. But one of the first days, huge chunks were in there, and that's just the matrix now we're removing as teeny tiny amounts, not huge amounts. And so it's not necessarily the most exciting watching. So I'll have a little bit of a play, probably off cam, and I suspect I'll need to speak to Sean or one of the other experienced preparators to find out if they think this is a litho, and if there's anything they can do with it. And equally, anyone who's got a really good magnification and tiny prep tool for this one, because this one, if you look at it from the side on, and as I said, that would be properly testing the magnification of this camera. But this ammonite here is a clavicerate. It's got a little tiny keel that runs all the way around it, so like a little raised edge of shell that sticks out into the matrix. It also kind of goes to that point. It's, I don't know how to describe it, kind of you would make a triangle, and that's kind of what goes on, with a little bit of the very tip of that triangle pulled up even further. This ammonite keel here is very rounded, and it doesn't have a keel on it, which makes me think it's not a clavicerate. And you can see it under, if you get just the right lighting on it, and this may not be visible for you, there's some little teeny tiny lines that go across that remind me of this. And as you can see, those lines there don't match up with the ribbing patterns that you see on these things. So this is definitely different. That's why I think this is Litho. Those ribs look very Litho-esque. This has hints that it might be just a teeny tiny one. But you might also see that my tool, this one, is a 1.5 mil thickness tip. So not the point, but the shaft, for lack of a better term. But the main piece of metal that's coming out is 1.5 mil. And so when we put that down on top, you might just see how teeny tiny these things are that we're playing with. And so, yeah, I would struggle to do anything with this without destroying it. So it's going to just stay there at the minute whilst I have a chat to some people, similarly with this one, because this one I think will need quite a bit removed off the top, and it might just be better to let someone who is better at it finish that off for me. So in the meantime, I can definitely tidy up a lot of these bits and continue to make any prep I get done on it cheaper by having them have to do less of it. So that's what the plan is. Just keep tidying down this matrix here. I was trying to get this wall down and this wall down today, assuming I do not melt first. But you might see every time I touch the block there's a different color, and that's just because I am very, very sticky at the minute. It is, as we've said a few times, quite warm in the UK, and my shed is a little garden room in effect with 2 big glass doors, and even though I've got them open, it is very warm in here. So we'll just have to see what I can do before the brain stops working properly, in which case we'll then stop, and I might have a look at this again off camera just to see if I can do any of the minutiae under the magnification that never looks great for you guys, but we're close enough. And then tomorrow we'll pick up probably a DAC just to have a complete palette cleanse. I've also got a few bits and pieces that I picked up from the lower and middle lias on Saturday that we'll have a look at probably later this week as well. Yeah, that's the plan. I'll also give this a good rinse, and you'll get to see it all in its glory before we're done with it today. Also, apologies if you see me fiddling across the top of the box, as I said at the beginning, but you guys may not have seen it. I've got a light held in place by some duct tape, but it's sufficiently warm that all of the adhesive is basically melting on it, and so my duct tape is slowly falling apart and falling off of where it's stuck, which says just how warm it has gotten in here. It is an interesting mix of things in the block, and as just to prove a point that everywhere I go I run into something else. This here is a fairly big chunk of ammonite that has just revealed underneath this, but I don't actually see which ammonite it's from unless it's the whorl, and a bigger whorl of this one, just from its position. So it's different, but again it's just showing that everywhere I go as I'm cleaning down, poof, new bit of ammonite. And so yeah, that's just the calcite in underneath, showing through. And so yeah, ammonite, 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 they're everywhere, and it is making it very, very slow going, but it does make it, I say, interesting. I would have loved it to have been half the size and half the difficulty, but at the same time it's been very, very good for me to have this, because it is definitely challenged both my abilities, my patience, and my prep skills are being put to the test, and it's good practice for sure. So you may or may not have just seen that big chunk of ammonite that's visible here has just, when it popped, it's popped a little tiny chunk off. But I'll show you just how small some of these ammonites are on it. Hopefully you can see that one right in the middle of that shot. But yeah, that's how tiny some of these are. Yeah, super teeny tiny. And it's part of the reason that this has been a tricky prep, is because we're running into stuff basically everywhere we go, and yeah, sacrifices have been made. This actually, the bigger ammonite, you may or may not be able to see. There's little ribs just visible on there, and they're the little clivicerous ribs on the piece that's just come off. So that's quite a cool little bit that you can see. So yeah, that's quite a big chunk. Just exposed everything there, so that's sped up the process a little bit. Just gonna take a quick pause to have a drink, but show you where we're up to with this mess. Ooh-wee, is it fun? So you can count the ammonites along with me. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and I think there's another one just coming out. So 26. 26 little ammonites in just this little valley, in just the bit that's open and exposed. That is too many ammonites. Too many ammonites. I'm also getting to the point I might have to replace my duct tape because it's yeah, slowly giving way on a regular now, and obviously it's lost its adhesion. Whew. Okay. Where are we up to? So smooth most of the matrix down now. As good as I think it's going to get. It needs a good rinsing off, which is what I'm going to go do now. Oh, I've realised I've not done this bit. Damn it. Right, let me smooth this bit off, then I'll give it a good rinse, and then we can have a look at where things are. It's never going to be done, I think, is the problem with this one. There's always going to be bits that I can see that will need doing or should be done or could be improved upon, and there's definitely bits that need work by someone with more skill than I. But let me get this little bit done, and then give it a good rinse, and then yeah, I'll be back with you. And apologies as the light keeps going, it's very annoying. But as we're only, say, 10 minutes left before being complete, I'm trying not to reset everything right now with it. But we'll get it resorted for tomorrow for sure. But yeah, let me just get this little bit redone, this bit here, and then give it a rinse. Then I'll be back with you. Scratch that rapid turnaround. Yeah, there's as I was tidying it up, a little ammonite keel's come through there. So give me a second to tidy that up now. Ah, there's block. Oh dear. It's as I said, both really satisfying that there's so much in it, and I think I've done a fairly good job, if I say so myself. But gosh, it's frustrating that it basically just I can't make it end, and even when I'm going to be done with my abilities on it, it's got more work to be done. It never ends. I would love to know what the ridiculous stats are associated with the streaming. Like, what random influences do we have on the world when it's like, oh, so between the hours of 1 and 4 p.m. British time, the number of Wagner listeners has gone up by twice the amount on Spotify or something ridiculous just because of something like this. I'm not claiming that's going to be the reality, but I'd love to know those sort of random stats about our lives, like what little influences that are so bizarre that no one would believe you. And it might be because all of you are now loving your classical music and are going to go play some Wagner. Flight of the Valkyries is such a great one, though, to be honest. Right, I think we're at a point that I'm going to say done, at least done for now. Let me give this a good rinse, and then yeah, I'll be back with you. Alright. It is unfair, the light in here does not do it justice, so we might even put you on the other camera and take you out into the garden in natural light. So give me 1 second whilst we try that. Let's see if I've got enough cable to work with. Yes. Oh, yeah. Downside of doing it like that is I forget, of course, the microphone is still attached to the prep box. So we sun is washing it out. Oh, fabulous. Oh well. Right, either way, we'll bring you back in the box then, because it doesn't look too bad when we get enough light on it. Hang on, well, let's do this really sensibly, because we're at that point. It deserves a good looky look. So yeah, we've got, if we count the ammonites that I am happy to call definitely ammonites, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, I don't remember if I counted that, 26, I'm going to say no, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Does that make that a nice even 60, I think? in there. You feel free to pause and count as you want, but I think that's 60, a couple of bivalves, so we've got one there, we've got an interesting piece of shell here, and another one here. But it's just crazy busy in this block. Yeah, it's fabulous. A pain in the butt. It's all of the adjectives. I'm also not sure I counted this one up here. Whatever. There, I blew one out. There's too many. It's too many. And yeah, there's obviously mostly clavicerous ammonites. They need finishing for sure. There's a few that have middles that need prepping out. So there's a middle here that needs prepping. There's a middle there that needs prepping. A middle there that needs prepping. But we're at pretty much my mental and actual capacity with this block, with the tool I have. But it's been fun, and it's nice when you see it wet that some of those little dinks that I've done that I know are there, they're little tiny white pock marks on it, don't show up. So those will be the ones that put a bit of beeswax on, they'll disappear again, which is great, because I'm probably my own worst critic, probably both harshly and fairly so, as the case may be, on certain ammonites and certain things I've done, but also some that I'm possibly overly harsh. But yeah, there's a lot in it, and I'm very happy we've got there. But yeah, as I said, there's I think this block you could spend another 10 hours on and still keep finding and doing things to improve on. It's been lots of fun, but also a lot of hard work. And I think the important thing will be to get some opinions on these two here. So this big whirl, which is definitely different. So one of the ways we tell which ammonites are which are what are called the ribs. So these lines, in this case, that go across. If you look at the other ammonites, they have these sort of S-shaped ones. They're fairly weakly strength, but you can see some here, but they don't go straight across the ammonite. They have a little S shape, sinuous to falcoid, as the case may be here, but these ones go straight across, and they're very distinctly different, and I'm pretty sure that's a Lithoceros, and I keep talking about it because they're because it's worth exploring if it's a Litho. Stupid light falling off. So yeah, it's worth exploring, and probably worth removing these ones to have a look at it properly. And I have a suspicion this little teeny tiny one might be the tiniest Litho of them all, just based on what I can see. But it's really tough to tell when they're that small whether it's something super rare or not, but it does need someone with much higher magnification, much better tools than I to have a look at it. So I'll have to speak to probably Sean to see if he can do anything with it. But yeah, I'll have another, just you can have a look, see it, just how crazy some of that section is. I wish I could do more. There's a couple of the ammonites in there I would like to prep further. This one in particular I'd like to prep further, because it's the closest to sort of being visible from the side on. But I can't get a pen in there because of this side. So these ones here are actually really difficult to prep just because of the space constraints with it being in that sort of that gully. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but I'm happy to call that done, at least done for now, and a lot of hours. If Mr. Landfill wants to have some fun and just go quickly flick through my YouTube videos and find how many hours of streaming I've spent doing this one, I suspect the answer is too many. But yeah, it's been good. But also very hot and hard work today, and hard work every day on it, because it's we're playing with some tiny ammonites. Let me just take my gloves off because it's too hot for them, even though I've just given them a quick rinse under the the hose at the same time as the block. It's too hot for them. So yeah, here's an approximate scale bar for you to give you an idea that the ammonite on the side is just over a centimeter in size. So that gives you an idea of what we're working with. They are all itty bitty little ammonites. And yeah, it has been good. But if I get it sent off, or when I get it sent off to have it fully prepped, I made my first sale on my shop to a friend of mine, and so that money is likely to go in to get this prepped. It's probably the wrong way to do it, but I really want to see this finished. So all of that sale money will probably go back to, as I said, get this finished, get that explored and exposed and done. 6 shows, and I assume the average is what, 3 and a bit hours. So you go 18 to 20 hours. So let's say 20 hours to be probably fair, worth of prep on it. 16 hours. There you go. The man is on it. Oh yeah, because we had a really shortened one. Yeah. I forgot that we had a sick child in the middle of one of those. So yeah, 16 hours. It's been a lot of work, and yeah, what I find more impressive is I know people who have spent 100+ hours on some of their ammonites, and whew, that's a lot of hours. So yeah, but as I promised, we'll go back to something a bit more uniquely common for Yorkshire. We'll go do a DAC next time. We'll go play with this one. It's been sat there and just looks promisingly juicy, and then we'll also have a look at some other stuff. I've got some interesting middle and lower lias blocks that I picked up on Saturday when we did Hosker, or Robin Hood Bay to Hosker. So it'd be good to have a look at those. The more I look at this one, the more it gives me minor scary, because obviously ammonite. But then you have a look at it and you go, oh no, there's lots of little white shiny things that aren't just where it's been rubbing around in the bag. Oh goodness, what shells are those? We'll find out, won't we? You'll have to come along and have a look with me over the next couple of days as we do this one and some of the others. But that is going to wrap me up for today. I am melting here in my shed. So I wanted to thank all of you who have been hanging around for the 16 hours worth of prep. Let's put it back in view. It deserves to be on show for the amount of suffering it has caused, but also how pretty it is. Everyone, thanks a huge amount for watching this. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you're all now ready for some classical music preparation of your own. And yeah, I'll be back same time, or same time-ish, tomorrow, and we'll keep prepping some Yorkshire ammonites. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you soon.